Hey everyone, it's Christine. Welcome to ParanormalTV. If you're new, welcome back if you're not. Remember me? Probably not, because it has been a hot minute since I've been on social media. In general, I've gone on Twitter here and there, but not a lot. So I won't be surprised if you guys forgot me, but I'm back. You can't get rid of me that easily. I was fighting the virus from hell, and I'm finally over it, so I wanted to sit down and film. I need a distraction, and I need to film. Filming is a good distraction, so it works out. So today's video, I am going to be talking about the top 5 movies that I believe are overrated, and this video will piss off a few people. I know it will, but just remember, my opinion is correct, and you're all sheep following the herd. If you didn't get that, that was a joke. That was sarcasm. Don't come for me. I was just playing with you guys. I think you're all lovely human beings, and you all have valid opinions, but these are my opinions, and I just don't like these very popular movies. Number 5 is The Babadook. I actually found this movie to be kind of boring and not scary. I was not afraid of it at all. I know a lot of people were terrified by it, and I just couldn't see what other people had seen in the movie. I could not see it. I was so excited to watch it. So once I finally watched it, it felt very disappointing to me. My big issue with The Babadook is I don't think he's scary looking in the slightest. I think that he looks like a scarecrow in the movie. And I think in the book, the Babadook in the book was cool looking. He was creepy, and I love the way he looked in the book, and I thought the book was really cool. I would love to get my hands on a copy of that book. It was so cool. However, the movie Babadook just didn't do it for me. He looked like a scarecrow. I will never, ever understand why people think he's scary looking. I also didn't really get the ending. I don't want to give away spoilers in this movie, but there was just something consumed in the end that I did not get. I did not understand. I still don't understand it. So you guys can let me know down below, because it completely went over my head. And it went over everyone's head that I know personally that watched it. In fact, I don't know anyone who likes this movie in my real life. I just know people online that like this movie. I also did not like the characters, and if you don't like the characters, I find you're not invested in what happens to them. The storyline becomes less important to you, and that's just kind of what happened for me. I didn't think the little kid actor was that great. He is a little kid actor. I like to try to cut them some slack, because Lord knows they're doing better than I would have done at that age. So number 4 is Sinister. I found this movie to be one of the most boring horror movies I watched. That is saying something, because I like a lot of horror movies. I watch a ton of horror movies, well-known and non-well-known ones that went straight to DVD I've even watched, and there are terrible movies out there. So the reason why it bored me the most, I'm not a fan of Ethan Hawke. Whenever Ethan Hawke is in a movie, I find Ethan Hawke to be really boring, and I don't like any movies that I have watched with Ethan Hawke in it. I feel bad saying that, not that Ethan Hawke is going to care about my opinion or even watch this video, but I feel like it sounds so harsh, but it is so true. There are a lot of Ethan Hawke fans out there. A lot of people who think Ethan Hawke is an underrated actor. I am not one of those people. Ethan Hawke just bores me, and I found him to be boring. I do remember like the twist at the end. It's been quite a time since I've seen Sinister. Quite a bit of time went by. I liked the twist at the end. The creepy dude, what was his name? I don't even remember, but he was creepy looking. I thought that he was the stuff that nightmares are made out of. He was so creepy. The whole premise of it was creepy, but it wasn't scary, if you get what I'm saying. Like, I feel like creepy and scary are two different things. So there were pros about the movie that I liked, and then there were cons, and the biggest con is I just don't like the main actor. I find him just to be too boring for my taste. Yeah, that's all I'm going to say about Sinister. Sorry, Ethan Hawke. Number 3 is Paranormal Activity. And this is all of them, pretty much. I kind of liked number 3, but at the same time, I never needed to see number 3 again, never watched it again, never will watch it again. I own it. I got it for dirt cheap and I had never seen it at the time, so I picked it up and I watched it one time and I will never watch it again. I thought it was the better of the movies I had seen. I've seen all of them. With the first Paranormal Activity movie, I actually fell asleep watching it. I paid to take a nap. I just find it boring. I find it very mundane. I was not blown away by anything in the movie. None of it made me go, whoa, this is amazing. I just didn't like any of them. So the first one I found to be pretty boring, and everyone said, the ending is where it's at, and the ending is a little bit more entertaining than the rest of the movie in my opinion, but I still don't like the movie at all. And then the second one, I remember not liking it, and I cannot remember much about it. I think it says a lot that I remember not liking it, but cannot remember details about why I didn't like it. Number 3, I found it to be a little more entertaining, but again, I'll never watch it again. It was one of those movies that I watched it and it was okay at the time. I definitely had parts of the movie where I felt really bored. I didn't like the 4th one. The marked ones is number 5, I think, and I hate that movie with a burning passion. And I will never watch it again. I feel like it was a complete waste of money. I could go on and on and on and on about why I hate it, but it would take us forever because I literally hated every part of the movie. There was not one part of the movie. But can we just talk about the gangsters for a minute? So, there's like this big bad gangster, can't think of his name because that was a while ago that I saw the movie. And he is, they call upon him to help them. And he has one friend as backup. One friend. Like, I thought you had this whole gang. Where? Where are your gang? Where are they? Why are you so bad? Like, who is afraid of you if you're one friend? And they can't even break into a house? Like, oh my gosh. So bad. What is that? What is that? You know how when you're a kid and you're like in 5th grade and there's a few 5th graders who think they're bad and they're like, we're gonna make a gang, and they just name it the letter of the block. Say your block begins with C and they're like, we're gonna be C block. Like, they would be able to break into that house faster than these 2 men could. Ridiculous. There's a cat and heat outside driving me up the wall. She's very loud and all the male cats are fighting over her, and oh my goodness, go away. There have been nothing but cat fights all day. And then the Ghost Dimension one is another movie that I just thought was terrible. I hated all the movies. So moving on. Number 2 is Unfriended. This is one of the most hated movies I had ever watched. I hate this movie probably just as much as I hate Paranormal Activity. Maybe more. I don't know. They both suck so much. I hate them both. I went into this movie thinking I was not going to like it, but I was going to see it anyway because I'm a horror movie fanatic. The movie theater was like empty. There was like no one there seeing this movie. It was me and my husband and I think 1 or 2 other people were there. And that was it. It was a big theater and there was just like no one there. So I was hoping that this would be one of those movies that you really think are terrible. Are just going to surprise you. They're going to knock you out of the water. You're going to be like, wow, that was actually really good. So my first pet peeve with this movie was I found all the characters to be unlikable people. They were horrible people. I didn't care about any of them. So therefore, I did not care what happened to any of them. The plot was just a little weak for me. It was nothing revolutionary. It was nothing that interesting. And then I felt like the acting was kind of mediocre. I didn't think it was that great. The one thing people were saying, oh my gosh, this movie felt real to me because the Skype sounds were so realistic. They sound exactly how Skype sounds. And yeah, okay, they sounded the way Skype sounds, but like in the keyboard typing, like, yeah, that sounded legit and all, but I could create a very low budget horror movie and put these sounds in there and it's not going to feel realistic just because I have good sound effects. It's going to feel like good sound effects with a really bad movie, and that is how I felt with Unfriended. And I also felt like it was very stereotypical with the characters. Each individual character was very stereotypical. However, they didn't seem to fit together. They did not feel like they would all be friends. And that in itself was like a very problematic thing for me because each character was so stereotypical. I felt like it didn't fit the stereotype for them all to be friends. The one scene that was supposed to be gory, I didn't feel like it was really all that gory. My stomach just growled. And I didn't like the movie. I wasn't feeling it. I felt like it was one of the most overrated movies of all time. And that's why it's coming in at number 2. Number one is like where I'm gonna get shitted on the most. I can feel it. Excuse my language, but don't come for me. Just remember you're allowed to like this movie and I'm allowed to dislike this movie. Number 1 is the Blair Witch Project. So with the Blair Witch Project, when I was young, I don't know if this was just locally how people felt or if this was very universal, but when the Blair Witch Project came out, no one liked it. At least not in the area that I lived. No one liked it. And I didn't see it in the movie theater. I was a bit younger when it came out. But I did see it once it was released to VHS because I'm old like that. And I remember thinking it was boring and I did not find it entertaining. I did not find it scary at all. Sometimes subtle horror is really good. This was subtly done, I felt like, but it just wasn't very good. In my opinion. I felt like the end was kind of a letdown too. I just didn't like it, and I felt like there weren't always reasons to film. Like in certain horror movies that are found footage, they will film anything, and unless there's a reason to film it, I just don't understand it. And I just feel like it doesn't always fit the circumstance. You know what I mean? When there is a camera planted somewhere or someone's wearing a camera on their head or something like that, I find that to be a little bit better. It explains it a little more, and I felt like they were kind of missing that with the Blair Witch Project. So years later, I was like, you know what? It has become a cult classic. So many people are raving about the Blair Witch Project after all these years, so I'm going to watch it. I probably will appreciate it so much more now that I'm older and I've seen more horror films, and I love horror so much more than I did back then as a kid. I liked horror as a kid, but I love horror now. It's my favorite genre. So I rewatched it and I was not a fan. Again, I had all the same feelings that came back as a kid. Really a boring movie for me. I just was not a fan of it, and that is why it sits at my number 1. I think because it's so highly praised and highly loved. It's a cult classic. So many people adore it. And I just can't get that from the film. I just can't. So these were my top 5 overrated horror movies. Let me know your top 5 if you have a top 5, or if there's 1, 2, whatever number you want to leave down below. I'm curious to hear what movies you think are overrated, and I will see you in the next one. Bye. As always, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and if you're not part of the Gold Team already, I would love to have you here, and you can do so by clicking the icon to the right of me. I promise you it's fun. We have a good time here, and if you're just wanting to watch more paranormal content, I have a few videos linked down below for you guys. So thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for being here. I hope you enjoyed and have a spectacular day.